Ooh, let me make sure. Yeah, I want to make sure we're recording. Introduce yourself for us, please.
ELOUISE MCDANIEL,
Okay, ELOUISE MCDANIEL. You don't live in Irvington anymore, but you were formerly president of what?
president of the Irvington Block Association Coalition, and then we changed it to the
And
People
what was the Irvington Block Association Coalition?
Irvington Block Association. Just we gave out scholarships to high school students that were going on to further their education. We gave seniors party like a Christmas gathering every year. We gave books. I gave books to the I think it was the third and fourth grade school children in Irvington. I gave a whole lot of things that we did, and but when we were giving out the scholarships, our mayor, he filed a complaint against me, the Irvington Block Association Coalition, and although he dropped it, but just the idea, I was giving out scholarships to Irvington high school students who were going on to further their education. And maybe he didn't like that. I don't know, you know, but that's what happened.
All right. And you owned a home in town and you were a taxpayer, right? How long did you live in Irvington?
I lived in Irvington maybe 34 years.
34 years?
And I think
That's
that's
a long time. And you are currently retired. What did you do? What kind of profession did you do?
I taught in York for 31 years.
What did you teach?
I taught elementary education, that's PK through A. I have a master's degree, a degree in early childhood, and I have a master's in early childhood. And I came out on a PhD level. I have been certified in supervision and administration, and I have all kinds of certificates in education.
All right. Listen, we had to overcome some technical difficulties to get set up. But I wanted to see, can you raise your, you sound a little low to me. Can you turn your volume up a little bit?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. And like you know, just make sure you speak to the microphone. But so I want to make sure everybody hears what you got to say. It's all right. 34 years, retired public school teacher in North Public Schools, holder of several advanced degrees, almost ready to be a PhD if you want to go back to school. And then president of the Irvington, I call it the Joint Block Association Coalition. I call it the IJBAC. And I know I let you see the video of the recent NAACP candidate night forum with Kathleen Richard of the NAACP. And I think I let you see the video that I did with the Irvington NAACP president Kathleen Richard and former police chief Michael Chase, and also Mike Spruill. I think I saw that. But let me ask you, what did you think about? Because this is today is Saturday, May 9th. We're 3 days away from the Irvington municipal election for mayor and at-large council. And so you saw the candidates night that the NAACP did. What did you think about that?
Well, I think that, sometimes when people have been in a position for a long time, it's time for them to move on. But sometimes I think that they try to make these positions for them, just for them, and not move on. So I don't think it's a good idea for the mayor to be running again. This is his third term or fourth term.
Fourth term, I think. His fourth time. He's running for a fourth. He's in his third, running for his fourth.
Running for his fourth. And I mean, give someone else a chance because I haven't seen any improvement in the township. Observing of the appearance and everything, it has gone down. I mean, down to the bottom. And you've been in there that many years and you can't upgrade, then I think it's time for you to go.
That being said, I mean, you said fourth term is 4 year, mayor's 4 year term. So he's been there 12 years, running for a fourth term, it'll be 16 years. But listen, in Elizabeth right now, there's a mayor, Chris Bowledge, and he's got to be in his maybe sixth or seventh term. And before him, they had a Mayor Dunn of Elizabeth, and he had like 20 years as mayor. I mean, you think that's too long for those guys too? Like I said, that Bowledge has been in there forever since I was covering Elizabeth back when I first started off, and then he was like a second or third term then, but now he's like sixth or seventh term, eighth maybe.
My opinion is that's too long. It's time for them to go and give someone else a chance.
All right, it was just fresh blood, fresh ideas. You just think it just need new stuff. I mean, what happened to the thing? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean,
well, I'm sure they have some things that are broken, and I know a lot of things are broken in Irvington. That's I've seen, and so I that's just my opinion. That I think after they've served for so many years, move on and let some of the younger people come in and see, let them get the experience of being.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but honestly, the problem. But the thing is, there don't seem to be too many people who want to run. It's not like a crowded field. It's not like a line of people lining up to run for mayor. It's only the incumbent Mayor Tony Boss and his challenger Paul Inman, who used to be his friend, who used to also be his political ally, but now is no longer his friend or ally, I guess. So I mean, so he's the only guy running against them. So I mean, you say you want new blood, but doesn't seem like there's too much new blood flowing through town.
Not in Irvington, but I think Tony, he's had his chance. And will give Mr. Inman a chance. I mean, I know he was with Tony Boss and everything, but if he wants to give him a chance, let him try. That's why you vote. And if the people are not satisfied with him, then vote someone else. Sometimes you have to take the better of the worst.
Let me ask you. I mean, because listen, I tend to agree. I think that competition in politics is a good thing. Because I like elections personally because to me, elections are times when people who don't like to share information, they've got to come out there and talk to you because they want those votes. So you can find out things, but then you can ask them about things. So there's a lot of give and take that you get during an election that you maybe wouldn't necessarily get in a regular thing because they figure, well, I don't need to talk to you. But I used to cover Irvington in New Jersey for a while, and that's when I first met you. And you've been around for a while, so like back when Wayne Smith was the mayor, and back when Assemblyman Craig Stanley was supposed to be the opposition, right? Because like I said, to me, right now there's no opposition in town. But I remember back then when Craig Stanley was like a viable candidate, and yourself, and at that time, former Northwood Councilman David Lyons, and other people in town were hoping that Craig Stanley would step up and run and win and change things. But that's not what happened, is it?
Oh, he dropped out.
What do you think about that?
Well, maybe it was a good thing if he did drop out. Maybe he had some background there that he didn't want to be exposed. I don't know. But
see, that's the rumor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the rumor.
The last minute. And that's what happened. And I spoke on it.
Yeah, listen, you are very tactful, and that comes from a woman who's educated, very smart, but then also about lawsuits and been involved in lawsuits. So you're very good with your words. You're being very tactful. I don't have to be good with my words because I don't care, right? Because I'll say it because you mentioned before some information may came out, but that was the rumor. The rumor was that because I remember that, man. I remember there was a lot of hope, right? Because at that time, D. Bilal Beasley, which was Team Irvington back then, who started it, they had a grip on town and they just controlled everything. And you know, you guys were hoping, David Lyons were hoping that somebody else would step up and challenge and just, you know, bring things out. This was after Mayor Sarah Boss got indicted and had to leave office, right, for corruption. And then I remember they had a meeting in town hall, and I characterize it like this: when Craig Stanley walked into town hall, he was a mayoral candidate. When he walked out of town hall, he was not a candidate no more. And it was just that abrupt. So when you say it was abrupt, that's exactly what it was. He walked in, a candidate, and he walked out, I ain't running no more. And that made people suspicious, right? You go, what? And you know, and the rumor was, I'll say it because it is a rumor, and all you have to do in this day and age, we say alleged. It was alleged that there was a child or a relationship with some woman that you know the powers that be in town and the Democratic Party in Essex County had or knew about with Greg, and then you know they said, hey, you know, what's up? You know, run, we're going to put all your business out there, and he chose not to have all his business out there. But that seemed to be a standard tactic. I heard that happened in East Orange too, but I won't get into that. But I say all that to say you were being very tactful because I watched your, and we'll run a couple of clips, but I watched your appearance at that panel discussion at the Sunshine Fest in Washington D.C. this year when you were one of the featured speakers about the Freedom of Information Act. And I give you a clap on there. And also the Open Public Records Act, which is in New Jersey. That's what it is. And, you know, I don't say you downplay things because you mentioned, you know, you guys got to talk and prep and you got to keep it short. But when I listened to you talk about what you went through because you filed Open Public Records Act request for information and you wanted to know what was going on and you asked questions, right? And you talk about seeking truth from power, speaking truth to power, but you were like seeking truth from power too, not just speaking it. And everything that you went through, and I kind of saw it as I was covering as a reporter, and I saw the stuff that was happening. And you kind of downplayed it too, because you didn't tell them how bad it was. I remember you going to a meeting, and the people would bump you and be all rude to you, you know. And you like, you know, you describe yourself as an little old lady, but they were really like elbowing you and being mean and really trying to discourage you. You talked about, you know, other stuff, but I mean, they were really just not nice. The people who were against you.
And I think it was so politically involved with that group, you know, back then, and that's what they did. They were trying to, I think, deter me from speaking out and exposing the truth. But even with all of that intimidation, harassment, I continue to voice my concerns about questionable things that were taking place in the township.
Right. And listen, and I've told Mayor Voss this too. This is why we got in kind of connected again. I told him I like what you did. I thought that's what people need to do. People who complain about the government, they complain about things not getting done, they complain about politicians not being held accountable. You got to do something, right? You have to speak up and do something in order to make this stuff work the way that it's supposed to, or they say that it's supposed to work. And that's what you did. So I thought it was a good thing, whether or not, you know, people in power at the time liked it or not. And it was interesting because, like I said, you know, they just branded you the enemy, right? And did you ever think of yourself as the enemy, or were you just a citizen trying to find citizen stuff?
A citizen trying to seek the truth about things that were going on, like questioning about public funds, misusing them, and you know, there were a lot of evidence about the public funds because the one thing is when the mayor boss became mayor and the alleged allegation about his sexual involvement. This was before he was sworn in to be mayor, 2014, I think. And he didn't have a job in town hall. Not to my knowledge, he didn't have one.
I was listening to that. I want to clarify that. When you say he didn't have a job, he used to work when he was running, he worked for the town, but once you win, you got to leave that job. You can't work for the town and be mayor, right? So he won an election and he had to leave, stop doing whatever job he was doing. So that's what you mean. You say he wasn't working for the town. He was not working at that time, right? After he won, he just wasn't, because he had to leave that job because he got elected.
And at that time, he wasn't sworn in as mayor.
Right.
In 2014. And so he got the council to pay his legal defense for something that taxpayers shouldn't have, pay because he wasn't mayor at that time. And my thing was, I think when they said something about this alleged incident that it happened in town hall. So my concern was, why was he in there in the first place? He had not been sworn in yet as mayor, and he didn't have a job up there working in town hall at that time. And I sent in open requests for, they said they paid him $75,000, I think, the first time, but it was not to exceed that amount. And a while later, I sent in open requests as to how much they sent, and then they sent me some canceled checks where it was over $100,000. Now, Irvington population is not, wealthy, and you come in and you are going to do this to poor people. I don't care who is wrong. I meant, and just don't stop. Look at the opioid, opioid, when they sent that money. I don't know who sent it. And
You're talking about the comptroller investigation when they got money from a lawsuit and how they spent the money. You have concerns about the money. So, and that was a whole other issue because they said that the state comptroller came in and did an investigation when it was not necessary, and this and Mayor Tony Voss and his administration, they sued the comptroller, but then the comptroller, he was doing political things, and they literally changed the laws in New Jersey to to limit the comptroller so that the future comptroller could never do what this comptroller ever did again because they figure, what's fishing. But I wanted to say this to you, and I want to draw a line because, like I said, to me, that you became the enemy, but I didn't think there was anything malicious. Whereas from the other side, having spoken with Mayor Voss and others, especially Mayor Voss, they always thought that you were just being contrary. That if they said it was sunny outside, you say it was cloudy. If they said it was raining, you say it was sunny. That you was just not going to be happy regardless of nothing of that. That there was nothing they could do, and you would never give any approval. Is that true about you? Are you that kind of person? You just, I don't like you. I'm just never going to like you. Never give you any credit. Would you give them credit if they did something that was good?
Yes, I would. And that's for anybody. I mean, if you do something good, why not give you credit? And I think I really got this from my bringing up my parents and my father and his brothers. They were, I could say, an advocate for the right thing. And with the civil rights, when it was in the southern states, and they got the NAACP, that started in that little town in this, down there. They when the kids couldn't ride on the black kids couldn't ride on the buses when they going to school at that time. It didn't ever happen to me because my father and those bought a bus. My father was a mechanic, and he and his brothers got an old Greyhound bus. I think it was one or two. My father and his cousin repaired this bus, and they bused the kids all over the county to school. And I think each family paid something like $2 or $3 a month. And that's what they did. So I always, when I think or I know I'm right, I will not give up. I don't care how you try to intimidate me and harass me. I am going to move forward and, do what I think, what I know is the right thing to do.
All right. See, and I respect that. And as if you see me smiling, I like that. I think more people need to be like that. Because a lot of people figure, oh, you got to know somebody. That's not what you know, is who you know. You got to go along to get along. This is this. All these other things that I think that have taken a root within the Black community, that's just not a good look. It's not a good way to be, because you just can't accept what people tell you and give you if you know it's not good for you. Am I wrong?
If you know it's true, then I think that you should, hold to it, not accept that someone is telling you this, someone is telling you that. In Irvington, I don't know if you remember this, I tried to work with the mayor, and I sent him a letter because a lot of, not a lot, but the few people that was working with me, and asked him, could we have a meeting in town hall so that we could, like air out our complaints and concerns about what was going on. He agreed to it the first week. So we had it. Everybody came in, went okay. I think we had, I don't know if we had another one, but at a third one, when we were getting ready to have it, he sent me a letter, maybe 2 days or something before the meeting was supposed to take place, and told me that he couldn't have it there. We could no longer have the meeting there because some of the citizens were complaining about the meeting. So I said, well, what were they complaining about? And he didn't answer. So I came out and I called up the few people when we were supposed to meet there, and I told them what had happened and what the mayor said. And we came out on the sidewalk, and I said, well, I'll just pass out, some information that what we were going to talk about. We're standing out there, maybe 5 or 6 of us, senior citizen and one guy who was not. He came with us, and just talking. And the mayor drove up. He had his car chauffeured up to the area where we were on the sidewalk. The cops jumped out, gun on the hand on the gun on the side. And the other one came out and he told me I was a liar. And he told this other guy that he didn't live on any property in Irvington, and he has a house. And so then I said, oh no, I'm not going to let this happen. I filed a complaint with that at the safety, the police, police safety concern, the headquarters. It was down on Nye Avenue when we went in that building, the old car. That's what I did. And we won.
And that was and that wasn't the first time you used. I remember when he had a cop bring you a letter that turned out to not be an official letter from the township and the township attorney saying you can't come to people meetings anymore. But that was illegal too. Yes, you can't do that either.
And I know with the cops, what do you call that? I don't know what you call it. With the safety affairs, something with police safety affairs, something like that. And they found out that cops, I don't know his name, I forgot, but they found out that he was wrong. He had no business doing it. I have the letter, and they sent it to me. So I won that. So it looked like he should know better than, or should have known better than to keep trying to do these things, because I wasn't going to stand for it.
Right? You have a cop show up and give you it's like serving a warrant. Like, don't come to town no more. Right? I laugh because to me, once again, you just, like you describe yourself, I'm just a little old lady. And yet here's this extreme stuff to this little old lady, right? Yeah, trying to scare you off and
try to intimidate me in council.
Yeah.
And everything. I mean, they did everything, but I didn't stop. So that showed them. And that last incident with him filing that complaint against me about, said I asked for too many open public records. I meant that was like a disgrace. And he was determined he was going to stop me, but who got stopped?
Yes, I think that, to me, I'm laughing at that because that makes me laugh too, because how is it such a thing as filing too many Oprah requests, right? I've got a question that when I ask you, you got the information, I got to ask you for the information, right? And they say, you filed too many. You got to, there's a quota on how many you should be able to answer. But that's not it, right? The law does not say you can only ask for 5, right?
He said that over a period of 3 years, I think that it said 75. That's only 2 per month. 75 over a period of 3 years.
But to me, it's like the library. If you want a book, you got to go to the library. I mean, now we got the internet and stuff, but am I going to not, you can only take out 4 books a month or 4 books a year, right? That's you got to go where the information is at, right? That's why, like I said, I laugh, but my sense of humor is not ha funny. It's like ironic funny, because, it's just the lengths that people go to sometimes. But I also wanted to say this, when you didn't mention this as well, when you wanted to run for office, right? You were, I think, for a council seat or mayor seat, and you got to sign petitions, because in New Jersey, if you want to run for a public office, you have to get nominating petitions, and you have people sign the petitions, and you turn them into the clerk, and then they get verified. And if you get enough petitions, and they all get approved, then you have the ability to run for office. But that's not what happened with you, is it?
Mm-hmm. We went to court, and my neighbor, I think she was running for council. I don't know if I was running for mayor or council person, I can't recall. But anyway, they went to court. The judge told us that the petitions that we had, that they couldn't accept them. Now, they were people living in Irvington, voters had no problem, but they kicked them out. 1 or 2, that's to keep us off the ballot for running. And so you see, it was so political involved, and it was so much, I would say, corruption, and that it was hard to get anything done. And that's what, when I went to DC, that we were talking about, and how people were being intimidated and harassed. And,
I want to ask you a couple things, but I want to say this, and this is my opinion, and I told Mayor Voss this when he got elected, and I think about this because I have been covering. I am a journalist, but I covered Hillside, Elizabeth, Orange, East Orange, Essex County, Union County, Newark, Jersey City, right, New York City, as a journalist, reporter. but then also as editor. And in that time, I've come to this, and I told Mayor Boston, and I believe this. Listen, immoral and unethical does not mean illegal. So even if something seems like seems like a crime, smells like a crime, but it's technically not a crime. But the cops and the law enforcement it's a crime, but it's not a crime. And so, like I said, is people do things in government and do things in private that could be immoral, amoral, or unethical, but it's not illegal, which means that the law allows you to do that. And so, as long as it's not illegal, right? But that's why you have ethics complaints. You always hear in the House of the government, you get ethics complaint, ethics. So you didn't do this right, or you using fine, whatever. But they never say it's illegal. They just say you broke the ethics rules. But in Jersey, it's tough to do that, right? Because like I said, you get a lot of unethical stuff, a lot of immoral stuff that's technically not illegal. And you mentioned the comptroller, and that's what it is to me. Because I remember when I saw that comptroller story, I thought it would getting a little too much play because it came down because my test is once again immoral, unethical, but is it illegal? Are there any charges? Are there any crimes broken? And my one problem with that comptroller's report was that he cited all these things, but he didn't say it was a crime committed. And so if there's no crime committed, what are we doing? And I say that too because as you mentioned before, there have been past. You mentioned when you were talking to those guys down there that after that you asked the state to come in. You don't know what happened to it, but I remember when David Lyons was still alive, and Ron Rice was still State Senator Ron Rice was still alive, and Dave Lyons, who was opposition to Bilal Beasley, and the council and Team Irvington, and I best with yourself. They asked the state. They complained about the finances. They said, "Oh, the finances look bad. We don't know what they're doing." Da, da, da. And I remember the state coming in and doing an audit. And the thing that stood out to me was that the audit guy said, listen, he did not find any crimes or any criminal activity. I remember he told Fahim Raouf, who's still the financial guy in Irvington, he said, listen, you're not keeping your books, you're not keeping your accounting methods according to state standards. That's the only thing you say. I couldn't find any discrepancies, but you're just not doing it the way that we recommend to say people should do it. And so I remember that, but once again, that's not a crime, right? And they didn't appoint anybody to oversee. The Board of Education did get somebody from the state. Frank Sinatra came in. They appointed somebody because the Board of Education, that Tony Boss was a part of. Paul Emmett was a part of that Board of Education too. He came in. The state sent him there to control the Board of Education's finances, and he did that for like a year or two and got everything in order, then left. And then once he left, from what I saw, they went back to doing what they were doing, right? So when you say misuse of funds, and you mentioned this thing with the opioid money, where they got money from this law settlement to use, however, for for basically for drug prevention stuff. And they decided they were going to throw a party, and they paid people money like a DJ, and he got a lot of money, and the comptroller and others, so yourself, felt like it got paid too much, or they wasted that money. They could have done something else with that money. But it was not illegal. And so my question to you is, what do you think about my personal test, which is immoral, unethical, but if it's not illegal, what can you do about it? You think my test is good, or is it just is not good enough or bad? Or should it be different?
Well, maybe I say it should be different. If it's illegal, it should be labeled illegal. But if they're saying that it's not illegal, then I mean, what can you do? I mean, yes, but I don't know if I'm saying it right. Because the controller, he didn't say that it was illegal when he wrote that report about the opioid money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said that they asked the former governor Phil Murphy, and the New Jersey State Department of the Community Affairs to send in a monitor to monitor Irvington spending, because they were not, because the spending was in a disarray or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I don't even know if that ever happened. So I see what you mean. if it's not illegal, I mean, you can spend.
You didn't watch it in mine. Well, no, see, but that to me is a distinction because, and that's why I give you credit too, because, and I told me about this too, and I'm smiling when I told him, I'm smiling when I tell you, yes, because he just thought that you were just contrary, that you just was going to be on the opposite. You're the enemy, and you're just going to be an enemy because you were like a hater. They call it a hate. She's just a hater. Whatever we do, it's going to be a hate. But I told him, I said, listen, and I never mentioned it when I was a reporter because I had to have my own journalistic ethics, right? But I talked to you, and I remember, and I know all the different people who have come to you over the years and told you things and given you information and pointed you in directions. So it wasn't like you were making stuff up. People would come to you and tell you stuff, and then you would go and figure out if what they said was true, and then you'd act on it, right? I mean, and they came to you for a reason because they knew if I go to Eloise is going to do something, right?
It was. They had a lot of people coming to me, and they were voicing their concerns about things that were going on in the township, and but a lot of them, they didn't know what to do and how to do it.
Oh, well, listen, I'm not talking about the average citizens. You mentioned getting in trouble for advocating for the Haitians who didn't understand the process. But what I'm talking about, and he said, once again, we still being diplomatic now, because I'm not going to use no names either. I'm talking about elected officials and employees and people who was part of the system who know how stuff go on. And they couldn't do anything because they, or speak out, but they come and tell you though, right?
Yeah, because
so it wasn't like you were just making stuff up.
Right. No. And I mean, people from in town hall.
Yeah. And listen,
they would come in and call me, and it is something else. But I remember the mayor before Sarah Bowles.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know anything. He called me up, got in trouble, with the Board of Education or whatever when they were leaving. And I said, don't get yourself hooked into something like this, I said, because, he said, no, Miss McDaniel. You did. You did.
Well, like I said, you were being diplomatic, and I said, it was Mike Steele, and he was the first Black mayor. And listen,
he passed away, right?
Yeah, he just recently passed away. And I like Mike Steele because he was still around. He was working for the Board of Ed when I got to town. He was always personable, always cordial. I could see why, whatever it is, he had it, and yet he ended up getting in trouble
for taking money. Seton Hall graduate, Mm-hmm. And this is what happened. He called me and said, but I told him, it was good words. I didn't know. I said, you don't get yourself caught up in something that you can't get out of.
And he did not listen. And I listened. And also, we talk about Irvington and, why there is a need for activism. Because former Mayor Mike Steele, who's also former business administrator for the Board of Education, he's not the only guy who needed help. Because, what I'm saying is Irvington has had a history of political corruption and kickbacks that would make a concerned citizen be concerned, right? Because before Mike Steele, after Mike Steele was Sarah Boast, right? Right? And she got... Yeah, because Mike Steele was the first, right? He was the first Black elected official, right? And then after him was Sarah Boast. And she got elected and won, and next thing you know, she in jail. And then Mike Steele ended up in jail, right? And I say all that to say that your concerns as a resident homeowner taxpayer was legit, in my opinion.
I think so. I think so, yeah. It was really something else, but I hung in there.
Yeah. And so that's my question too, right? Because a lot of times it seems to me that people run for elected office because they want to do stuff like that. They want to be connected. They want to get in a position where they can get rich or whatever this is. But should it be about that?
No,
What should it be about?
it should be about helping the people, and you know, not for the enrichment of yourself, but like you said, a lot of them, that's what they go into these positions for. They want to enrich themselves off poor people money, and sometimes I think they talk about uh, the what the white man had done to the black race and the citizen. But when a black person is doing it to his own race, I mean, what difference? It's worse because here you are complaining about what the white person did, and here you are doing the same thing or worse.
Yep. And it is that, and then also they use it as a justification for what they're doing. Oh, that's what they did too. But I thought we were supposed to be different, right? Or better.
But right, you come in and do the right thing and supposed to help your people advance, but yet you come in doing, I would say, worse than what the white person did. Because you're doing it to your own, you know?
Yes. And listen, that's why, I don't know if you've heard about the recent Supreme Court decision about the Voting Rights Act. I remember I let you know, and you was like they're trying to take us back. But listen, I agree, they trying to take us back, but it seemed like we helping them take us back because the stuff that we have done since we have had the right to vote and had the right to do these things, and then we, like you said, we get the power and we don't use it properly.
I remember that's right. Cory Booker, he's the senator, from New Jersey. And when all these things were going on with how the money was spent and all, and like you say, with that alleged incident with Boss about paying out for the legal defense. Now, that was evidence, facts. And I had it, okay. I wrote to Senator Booker. I had everything. I sent him a pack of everything that was going on. And, had all the proof there. Never heard from him. Never, not one word from him. And but then he sent something to me asking for a donation in my vote one year, and I told him, well, when I contact you, you didn't seem to be interested or cared about what. I said, is it because of the people that live here in Irvington, or you only come around when you look seek and vote to, for get back in office?
Yes. Oh, now listen, I hear you, and I'm smiling because I think that has been a real issue, which is why to me the voting rights, now you're losing something
Right.
that we fought to get, but then when we got it, it seemed like we didn't use it always the right way, and now you lost it because you didn't take care of it. And so, is it really going to hurt us in the bigger scheme of things? But I would say this: you mentioned Cory Booker, the senator. He's a U.S. senator from New Jersey. But like I said, State Senator Ron Rice was not like that, right? Like I said, David Lyon. If you went to Ron Rice, and Ron Rice was from Newark, he's a former cop. And if you wrote a letter to Ron Rice would investigate, he'd do something about it. I mean, but that's what you're supposed to do, right? If you represent a community, you represent these people, when they come to you, and he was
I can't say anything, wrong about him. I mean, with the Newark School Board of Education, when I had that problem there, he stuck by me and called me, and he was very good. I have to give him that credit.
yes. And like I said, to me, that is the job. You're an elected official. That's part of the job, right? You represent your people's interests, not just your own. Because a lot of times it seems to me, like you said, these guys going in to enrich themselves, but they think that that's how it is. And my thing is, you can't do both. You can't enrich yourself and help other people. right? Because I mean, this country's been around for a minute, and the people who was in charge, they seem like they did it. Ben Franklin was the insider of everything. Yet he was still writing the Constitution and business stuff. This printing papers. You know what I'm saying? Still handling business. And so it seemed like us, we if we had to choose between handling business and enriching, we're going to enrich. But even then, to me, that's not even really a choice. Why can't you do both? You know? So, but it is very weird. But that is the standard, right? Immoral, unethical, but not illegal. And so I think that's why other people get frustrated. But you don't get frustrated because you mentioned writing letters to Cory Booker and writing letters. I also give you credit for that because you seem like you understand the value of the paper trail and to follow the rules, and that there's rules in place and you have to make people enforce those rules. Do your job, right? Or at least try to make them enforce the rules, right? And you know, in terms of evidence, we said coming down to facts and writing letters to people, because you would write letters and then, you know, they have to respond, because if you don't write no letter, they ain't gonna say nothing, right?
Every one time when I wrote some long letter for the New York Times, that's the school system, and somebody wrote when we're going, but he said, "Right on, sister, right on." Throw it up.
That's funny. That's funny because back in the 70s, it used to be like right on, RIGHT, right on, yeah, right on. But then they're telling you to WRITE, right on, right on. So that's hilarious. That's pretty funny.
All over the place, you know. And that's what happened when Tony filed that complaint. Look how it went viral. I got over 1 million supporters. People followed me. Over 1 million on the internet and, you know, whatever.
Really?
Loaded up. Even Ralph Nader. Remember, he's one that independent runner or something for president.
Was that your social media account? So you got 1 million followers? That means you're an influencer.
Over 1 million.
And all because he tried to follow some shit. What was that, on Instagram, or is that what was 1 million followers on what? YouTube? What was it?
It was maybe YouTube and some other, you know, the different.
I'm saying, hook a brother up. I want 1 million followers too. Tell me how you did it.
Sure did. I mean, I got a whole lot of followers behind that. And when I went to DC, I don't know if I told you, but the guy who's professor at University of Florida, he said, when I went there, he called me and I said, "Well, how did you find out?" He said, "I know all about you." And that's what it came from, all the letters. He was very excited. He had the students, they're in law, you know, and they take different cases, you know. And so he had them call me. I got a call from maybe 3 or 4 students too. And they asked me questions.
Yes, and see, and this is my thing, right? Because the moderator was saying at that forum of Sunshine Fest, she was saying accidental or incidental, and that's my thing. You know, whereas even though they said you're the enemy and you're this adversary, you didn't really set out to do that, did you? I mean, you wasn't trying to be nobody's enemy, was you? You wasn't trying to get 1 million hits, was you? What were you trying to do?
No. Huh?
So what were you trying to do? Why did you get involved? Just trying to do
the right thing to help people who couldn't help themselves, and you know, and help taxpayers. You spending up your tax money and paying these people salary. They're behaving like you know, you are their boss. You pay their salary, and then they're going to try and do all these things. So you know, I'm not going to accept that.
And listen, I want to follow up. You mentioned before about and like I said, you didn't name any names because you were being tactful. And you got, like I said, all you got to do is be alleged. But you're talking about the alleged business administrator, who's still the business administrator in Irvington right now with the rent board getting what you call the alleged kickback for a rent board that had no members and had no meetings, right?
And
I can say his name. His name is Musa, right? What is it? Musa Malik,
yeah.
right? And that's who allegedly had the kickback, right? And he's still the BA right now, right? And the thing that was amusing to me was is after you uncovered that or found that out about this rent leveling board, it seemed like all of a sudden a rent leveling board got formed.
But he sent me an invoice or a letter showing where he accepted $140,000 stipend. And when I sent a letter over to the clerk, Harold, at the town hall and asked him when did they have meetings and are they recorded? Meetings and who was present at these meetings and all. Harold wrote me back. I have the letters saying that he has never received anything about any meetings or nothing has been recorded.
Which means that there was no paper trail. This is the value of paper trail, which means there was no evidence that there ever was a rent leveling board. So how are you paying yourself for running this thing that does not exist? Correct? I mean, and you mentioned Harold. I mentioned Harold Weiner too when I did the other video talking about you, and I was talking about how important it is to have a good, honest clerk. And Harold Weiner is one of my top clerks that I've met and worked with while I was a journalist. While I'm still a journalist, like I said, I ranked him 3. She got mad, but I ranked him. The best ones were Harold Weiner in Irvington, Joyce Vilisavovich in Hillside, and Cynthia Brown in East Orange. And there's no particular order, right? Could be Cynthia Brown, could be Harold, could be whatever. But Cynthia didn't like that. She thought I had her third, but it wasn't third. But I mean, how important it is to be a clerk, because what people don't know, the clerk does not have to play politics, right? They answer to the state. They keep records. They don't have to worry about, oh, the mayor going to like me or the council going to get mad, because their job is to the state, right? Keep the records, right? And so what Harold said is there's no record of this rent leveling board meeting.
I have it in writing. There were no letters or
Oh, listen, you talk about having stuff in writing. Look, I pulled out all the files. Can you see? Look at the files. 1 file, 2 file, 3 file, 4 file, 5 file, 6 file, 7 file, 8 file, 9 file, 10. All of these different things that I have still from you, because to me they're still relevant. Because all those issues you raised are either still ongoing or they've had repercussions outside of that, because the same people are still there doing the same things, right? Which goes back to the question of immoral, unethical, but is it illegal? And then if it is, who determines is it illegal or not? When you call up the state, you mentioned Department of Local Government Services, Department of Community Affairs, like who do you report to? And this is why I think people get frustrated, even though you personally never let yourself get frustrated, never let yourself get down by it. Because it's like you see stuff and you go, that seems wrong. And then you go to report it, but you go, well, who do you report it to? Right? How do you find out who to report it to? And then once you report it, do they do what they're supposed to do after that?
Good at writing letters. I was good at writing letters. I would keep a good report of everything, and the people I contact, just when we were talking about Harold, the clerk, you remember on NBC News when the reporter came and asked, the mayor, Voss, he said that he didn't ever send out any complaint against me, that it was Harold, the clerk. Harold said, that's not true. I never sent out any, filed no complaint against Miss McDaniel. In fact, Miss McDaniel and I have a very good rapport.
Yeah. Do you think it was Harold, because Harold was called a master clerk, meaning he was like the top level of his profession as a clerk. He had all the credentials to be a top level, but is that out of the ordinary? Did he do something extraordinary by doing that, or was he just doing what he needed to do and not afraid to do his job the right way?
think he did something out of the ordinary. I just think he was doing his job. You're right. Yeah. And he wasn't going to let that depend on him, and he didn't do it.
Yes. See, that's my point too, right? Because I've been in town in Orange where they were trying to get the council president was trying to get Dwight Mitchell, the clerk in Orange, fired. You can't fire a clerk without cause.
Right.
Cause meaning you have talk about the paper trail. You got to document your case. You got to make a complaint to the state that this person who was the clerk either is not doing their job or violated the law or broke the law or something. You can't just wake up tomorrow and say, "I hate this clerk, get out of here." Right? You got to document. You got to build the case. Yes, they got to be fired for cause.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. So I just really feel bad that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
you can still speak a little louder though.
Okay, I really feel bad that I had to go through all of this, and really no one, very few people decide to listen. Really, no one listened, and I don't know what they are going to do, but it's bad. It's really, really not fair, for them to come in and do people like this, and yet you come up and talk about what's going on now, taking the voting rights away. And here, look what happened to me now. This is a black town right in Irvington. Look what happened to me, and this is what you were talking about. So it's, I don't know what to say about it, but it's not right. It's wrong. I don't care who it is, I don't care what group people you were doing this to. It's not right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And I mean, someone should listen, I mean, because then on down the road, like what's going on now, well, you didn't listen to the things that I reported that was going on in Irvington, and now here you see what Washington is doing to us,
Mm-hmm. Well, because the irony is a lot of people who say that they'll say, "Yeah, look at what those black politicians did to a black person," right? They'll use that. They'll say that
an excuse,
yeah, right, any excuse, and we got to kind of make sure we don't give them any ammunition, right? Don't give them an excuse to do stuff to you. But it has not always been done because
no, it's been done. I agree. That has not been always, has not always been done. Definitely not.
Yeah. Right. And so if people are, afraid there's going to be less black representation, less black elected officials. But once again, once you had elected officials, what did they do while they were there? That's right. Yeah. Did they do the right thing? Did they set a good example and use the power correctly?
That's right.
Right? Because I mean, it doesn't, it's not enough to just get there. You got to get there and do something, right? Do the right thing.
That's right.
Right?
Yes, I wanted to bring this up too. You see, in Irvington, I think what they did to keep citizens like in the dark, they have but when COVID, I could see them having the Zoom meetings, the virtual meetings that people have to come to. I mean, they can watch and join in. But a lot of older people, how many senior citizens, who have computers, and look at all those apartment buildings there. I mean, they don't know half of what is going on. And even through the winter months, like when the weather is bad, I can see them having a Zoom meeting. But you're going to continue to do this. All the other municipalities, they went back to their meeting area in town hall or wherever. But Irvington took the benches out of the council chambers where the meetings were being held. And they are determined not to go back. Took the benches.
So there's no benches. So if you walk in the council chamber now, there's no benches in there?
None. They took the benches out. Mm-hmm.
I gotta go see. See, now you made me want to go look in there with a camera to see, because I don't know that that's legal. I don't think you can do that.
Well, I got it all over the place. What happened? I even mentioned that when I was in DC. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And yes.
Yeah, I don't see. But then once again, I think you gave them the soft sell, and you didn't really, because now you're talking to me. You're saying they're just taking them out because you made it. Listen to you on the Sunshine Fest. You made it seem like they took it out for you, just for you, for a certain amount of time. But you're saying they took them out, period, for everybody. Nobody can have it now.
No one can go in there. And this is a public facility.
Yeah.
Ain't that the citizens' legal rights, constitutional right is being
Well, see, but that makes my point. See, but that makes my point, Eloise, and that's why the Supreme Court decision about the Voting Rights Act, it kind of makes my point too, right? And you say the citizens, if they don't get mad, that's because they don't go to meetings and they don't care. And so if people,
right.
So there's somebody in the office to go, nobody's going to complain. So if nobody complains, they're just going to go ahead and do it, right? And so with the Voting Rights Act, if nobody's watching, when the cat's away, the mice will play, right? You turn your back. I think there's been too much focus on this Trump stuff. It's so anti-Trump. We hate Trump. But while you're focusing over here on this dude, over here, something else is happening that you should have been paying attention to, right? Because that's what gets me about it. I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, you elected official. Your job is to make sure this stuff don't happen. Or make sure that Voting Rights Act gets renewed the way it's supposed to get renewed all the time. But why didn't you do that? And I'm talking about to the Democrats and to the Black elected officials, right? You, the Congressional Black Caucus, protects your own interests, right?
NAACP, Black Caucus, all those people who didn't, keep up with it, and it's sad.
Yes. So I would say, if they're saying shame on you if you did this, shame on me, and then it's shame on me. I say shame on us for letting it get, because one, you got to realize that you're in a struggle, or not a struggle, but yes, like you said, they want to talking to you saying they're trying to take us back. But we don't have to let them, right? We don't have to help them.
And our foreparents worked so hard to get us to this point,
Yes.
Now here you have these people, they're on us, you see. And people get discouraged when they see the same thing going on in their town that these other what's going on in DC, you see, and they're doing nothing about it.
Yes, right. Listen, I remember I watched that Sunshine Fest, and that woman who was sitting next to you, the white woman, the rich white woman, and all the money she spent, and I'm sitting there going, what? Right? They really gave her a hard time. They made it as hard as possible, and this was other white people making it.
Boston, some part of Connecticut.
Yeah, right. But that's what goes down, right?
Only Black on that panel.
Yeah.
I was the only Black on that panel, and from my understanding, I was the first Black to be there on it.
Yes, in that position to do that, and this is what I mean, to be involved in your community, to file these Oprah requests, which is what it takes, right? Because we always sit back and complain and this, that. But if you don't do the stuff that you were doing, then they're gonna do whatever they want.
In touch with me, no one would have gotten in touch with me, and all those Oprah requests and letters paid off.
Yes.
How I got there. I didn't know these people. I didn't ask them to come and be on that because I didn't know anything about the Sunshine Fest.
Yeah. I know. Like I said, nobody does, right? I never heard of it either, although it makes sense, right, to have it, because people who want the Freedom of Information Act, because it is such a valuable thing. People who want that Sunshine Law, because that's a valuable thing. Because all these backroom deals that get made, that nobody knows about. And that's also, I wanted to interview you, Eloise, one, because I like you. And then two, because like I said, we always hear this saying, a strong black woman, right? An intelligent black woman. And they always think it's like some big burly, not burly, but Queen Latifah, big, strong, black woman. And yet here you are, who you describe yourself as a little old lady, but you a strong black woman, right? Intelligent, strong, motivated black woman. I mean, that's, to me, it kind of breaks the stereotype of what it takes. Like he said, when they at the Sunshine Fest, he was saying the stereotype is the people who do Oprah requests are older, white male, and affluent.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you proved, and that's why they had you up there, that no, it's not just about rich old white guys asking for information who care about what's going on, right? So strong black woman. How does it feel to be a strong black woman, ELOUISE MCDANIEL?
Already asked me. I've gotten so many of those journalists that called me, and one is supposed to be doing a big write up on me, and she used to work for the Washington Post. And remember, I had that article in there. She read it when they, and so they want me to be a part of the next one this year again.
Oh, well, that's good. See, I think it's good because once again, it shows. Yeah, because this is, to me, what you did and what you done. That's what it takes. And yeah, most people don't want to go that far, or don't want to put in that work, or won't put up with them. And once they start bullying them and start intimidating them, they'll fold up and crump and go away. But you never did that. You never folded up, right? No matter how bad they tried to shut you up and bully you around.
And a lot of the journalists that were there, it was only in that room. It was only like attorneys and journalists. And they all, I was told they were going to look into it. And for the whole panel did what's going on with it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, listen, you make my job easier, right? Because how I'm going to write about, you do half the work and then give, like I said, you do all the work and then give me copies of it. And then I can go write stories of it, right? And so it goes hand in hand. So I would say journalists, we like citizens like you. We like people like you because you make, right? You help us do what we want to do, or you make it easier because you got to hold people accountable, and you got to have the evidence, the facts to go and present them. Because they're trying to sue your guy at WNBC, the reporter, saying that he's harassing.
Yeah. And because Chris Glorioso, Chris laughed when he laughed at them. He said, they don't know the lawyers and things we have here too.
Well, listen, they sued the comptroller too. They were trying to sue the comptroller too. The politics got it. The politics got the comptroller first though, because it turned out he was allied with that guy Andy Kim, who's the current New Jersey senator, but who blocked Murphy's former Governor Murphy's wife wanted to be a senator, like Hillary Clinton became a senator. She wanted to be a senator, and this guy Andy Kim, he's like, no, he wrote a letter going, no, that's unfair. This is this. I'm going to sue it. And Murphy and his wife backed down. But that the comptroller guy was like that, because that's the first thing I asked Tony. Well, I was going, I said, because that comptroller's report about that opioid money that came out during a board of during an election in Irvington, and I said, because as I'm sure you heard, they always say the FBI, the state, and everybody, they don't like to get involved in elections. They only do stuff.
Right.
Do stuff after. Yeah. Right. That's what I was going to be after the election, right? And I'm sitting there going, this came out in the middle of an election, right before the election. I said, what's going on? Because they don't normally do that, right? And I said, Mayor Boss, you got any problems with Murphy? Are people mad about what happened with his wife? What's going on? And he's like, no, it's not me. He's like the comptroller is a rogue guy. He's trying to make his own name for himself and doing stuff without
that one. Huh? Kevin Walsh is not there anymore. They have a in them.
But I just couldn't believe that, because it seems to me it's like when Governor Chris Christie allegedly closed down the George Washington Bridge, when he said he didn't do it, that one of his aides just did it arbitrarily. I don't believe that. And so to me, if you're a governor and the comptroller worked for you, why is he investigating people? Can he just do what he want to do on his own? So what do you think?
What did I say about that?
Yes, the comptroller. There's the idea that the comptroller was doing stuff that Governor Murphy didn't know about.
Well,
Or do you think Murphy knew about it?
I think Murphy knew about it.
Why you say that? Because I think so too. I'm sitting there going, "What?"
I think he knew about it, but maybe he was too politically involved to let it come on out or something. I don't know. That's what I think. You know, he could be all involved with the county executives and all. They come in supporting all these people. And I remember when Voss was running for re-election, and even Al Sharpton. You see what I mean? He came over here at Chancellor Avenue School, and we were out there because I was working on the polls that time, and he they had a loudspeaker with I guess a recording of Murphy. Vote for Tony Voss and Chloe Book. What was it? Cory Booker. Vote for Tony Voss. The kids in school class, they interrupted me. I said, "Oh, I wrote a letter to MSNBC on Sharpton."
Well, see, and that's the politics of it, and that's why I said, and I told me, well, I said I don't believe that. I said that sounds crazy to me. I said the comptroller's office is part of the state government. If I'm the governor, everything, and I'm responsible for everything, how can this dude that I put in this position do stuff that I don't know about or I don't approve? Right? It didn't make any sense to me. But that's just
are they independent or they are appointed by the governor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So they got this new person there. It's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
The new person.
Yes. But she got restrictions because of the old person. But all right, listen, it's almost 3 o'clock. I had you in for 2 hours. Listen, I'm glad we got these technical difficulties fixed, Eloise, because I am looking forward to having you on the show again. You want to come on again? We can talk about some other stuff because you're still active. You semi-retired down there, wherever you are. I don't want to give you a location, but to me, you're like a valuable resource. I tell Michael Chief Chase the same thing. You're like a valuable resource, man. Larry Ham too, right? The stuff you have done, the experience you have been through.
Larry Ham, I informed him as to what was going on, and he wouldn't back spoke to me.
Yes, because there's another person I would like to have you on. You're in Irvington, but Catalin Gordon was in Orange, and she went through a lot of the same things you went through filing Oprah requests. She had to actually go to court a couple of times because she was asking those guys if they're in Orange for information, and they just stonewalled her like they did. They tried to do you in Irvington.
Yeah.
And so one day I like to have the two of you guys on. It'd be interesting. All right. So
when I find out about the next Sunshine Fest and where it's going to be, if in DC again, because the guy that brought me in there, he told me anybody that I want to bring in says to come let him know. So
all right.
That would be good for you.
Yeah, it will be good for Catalin Gordon. She would like to have that sense of support. That would be a very nice thing. That's why I get you.
Yeah, that's what he asked me, and so
I'll connect you.
Told him, he said I'll try to have it back by the end of August.
All right, no doubt. But listen, you're gonna hear from me before that. I told you I'm gonna request you to come on again and again because I like what you got to say. Strong black woman, give me a black power fist, Cat ELOUISE MCDANIEL.
That's it. But that's what I didn't think about that at first. But now that I've talked to you, you would be a good journalist to come and sit in on this and get this information.
Yes, and then also to spread the word. And spread the word. All right, and help some other people who are like you. So thank you very much. You have a good day. Enjoy what you're telling your family. Thank you, your son and your daughter-in-law for helping us fix our technical difficulties. And I will see you again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Get out of here.
Yes.